glad to see you all today. Amen.
Amen.
With that said, before we begin, we're definitely going to pray and also thank the Holy Spirit for this opportunity He has given us and the platform He has given us to even be here today. It's great to see all your faces. Vermont, this is our second time being here, and it's really a delight. It's very different, honestly, from Jersey, but awesome. First and foremost, like I said, I'm going to thank the person of the Holy Spirit. He's been very kind, very loving, and awesome, honestly. So I always say, thank you, Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
I also want to thank God for the life of my spiritual leader who has given me the platform to even be able to come to campuses and bring forth the word of the Lord to various students on different campuses in different states. And that's my most esteemed brother Joshua and Gil, my most esteemed father in the Lord. So God bless you, most esteemed.
God bless you, most esteemed.
And I also thank God for the life of my spiritual leader here in North America, my most esteemed brother O.C. King, who is an amazing mentor and definitely one who has taught us so much about both the physical and the supernatural of life. So we're eternally grateful to you, sir. God bless you. And thank God for each and every one of you. I'm so glad to see each and every one of you. Hope you guys have been having a good time.
Yes,
Sex is a very open topic. It can be if you're open to it, actually. But it's very personable, but I believe this message today will help you. It'll help your sex life. It'll help how you operate in your relationships. So more than ever, before we begin, I just want to pray. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for the opportunity you have given us to even bring forth the word of the Lord to your children. We thank you because this is going to be a transformative meeting for the lives of all those who shall be here. Lord, we thank you, O God, because surely as many who came in, they will leave back better than the way that they came. This is a great meeting that the Spirit of the Lord has ushered, and I believe the Spirit of the Lord will continue to move in this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Awesome. Brothers and sisters, the beginning of this lesson, or the beginning of the meeting in part A, which is in the morning, we talked about a lesson called God and Sex.
God and sex.
Two things people don't like to put together, God and sex, right? It can seem very awkward, but ultimately, God isn't interested in your sex life, but not the way you think it is. Some people are worried that He's watching me. I'm like, why are you watching me? But those are not where His intentions lie at the end of the day, and we'll bring forth that. But before we begin, I would like to do something. Does everybody happen to have a notebook or your goodie bag next to you? Nobody has one? If possible, if you guys give it to those who do not have a goodie bag or a notebook at this time. Or a sheet of paper. Sheet of paper if you have one. You can just share it. Okay, everybody's good? Awesome. We can all, if everybody has a paper or a piece of paper? Okay, awesome. Now, meetings like this, sometimes you can say, okay, wow, I just spilled all the beans about my sex life and now, or aspects of it, and now we're about to talk about God. Feel a little messy, but more than ever, it's the perfect timing. So if you have a piece of paper, everybody has a piece of paper? Awesome, we're glad. With that piece of paper, we're gonna ask you a few questions. So how many of you are single? Trust me, I'm the only one that sees you guys, except for you guys, so don't worry. Yes, okay, so that's awesome. Now in the midst of it, also, with that said, how many of you would like to meet someone new? Awesome. Awesome. Now, the reason why we're actually bringing this up is because places like this are awesome meetings to actually meet someone new. Why? You've already said something that you probably couldn't have said in 6 months in a relationship.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's different. That's just the truth. Some people wait until last minute to finally say something that they should have said from the beginning. And we've learned over time that some of the most difficult conversations have been about money and sex. And they've broken marriages, broken relationships, broken friendships even so. But if you're able to expose all of this just right now, then more than ever, you don't have to go through piles of Tinder profiles. You can get straight to the point, right? Exactly, because you kind of broken the ice. So that's the reason why we ask those questions. But the paper, now the paper aspect is that if you're single and you don't mind actually finding someone or learning about someone new, what we're gonna do right now, if you're a female, you can write all the aspects that you would like in a man or in your relationship. Like what kind of person is intriguing to you? It could be physique, it could be character. It's all, whatever you like. Me and you may not have the same type of persona, okay? But whatever you like, you're gonna write down everything. Honestly, it took me into this meeting to realize that some people just honestly don't know until they're finally asked at the moment what they might like. So you might ask somebody, okay, what do you like? You're like, honestly, I just thought about it today. I just thought I like you. If I see you, I'm like, okay, I kind of like you. I'm not sure why I like you though. But today, let's just, if you have a pen, I don't know if you guys have a pen, but definitely just write down some of those things. If you're a man, same thing. Write those things. What are the things that you like about that person, or you would like in a partner, or you're attracted to? Like, you don't have to be someone who says like, look, honestly, I want someone 6'2". That's the kind of person you like. Look, each their own, right? But you could just write down. So we'll just give you a few seconds to write down those aspects on your card, on your paper. Yep. I think they all got a pen or a paper and a book. Anybody need a pen? Oh, pass it around. If you're in a relationship, don't worry, prosper your relationship, okay? But you never know what you might like. And honestly, you can be, as you already had a program called Sex in College, you can be as explicit as you want. That's your being. Awesome. We'll just give you a few more seconds and then we'll jump in. It sounds like a very simple question, but really you can feel like, wow, this is the first time I actually thought about it. What I like. Awesome. Okay. Now, many of you rose your hand. You can continue writing if you are still writing, don't worry. That one page would have been enough for me, but I definitely understand. But if you rose your hand and you say, you know what, you're single, or you don't mind meeting somebody, this is a perfect platform, like you said, to meet someone new, to learn something different, to build new relationships. So definitely take the time, even after this meeting, because right now we're about to bring forth the word of the Lord, and then after, we're gonna mingle, we're gonna meet each other, we're gonna eat, we're gonna enjoy ourselves. Why? Because more than ever, this may be the first time you may meet people or ever cross paths in your life. First time, second time, never after this. You could be on the same campus and probably never met each other. That's a possibility, maybe not. But ultimately, these are the kind of platforms where you're transparent. You've already said some of the grittiest things you never even told your own friends or your own father or your own mother. So you're like, okay, well, I'm already open. Here, I already feel good. So we'll definitely, but keep those papers. We'll come back to it at the end. Okay? Awesome. Okay. So, if we can turn to Genesis 38. Awesome. We're talking God and sex.
Yes.
It sounds very fun, right?
Yes.
Yes, we're treading on those waters, okay? Some people don't like this conversation. I love it, okay? I love it. This is our second sex in college. The first one was mind-boggling. It was very fun. And I think that's what ushered the second one. But it's good because more than ever, people always ask that question, where's God in my sex life? Like, is he watching me? Does he know what I look like naked? I mean, of all things that you would be worried about, but sometimes those are the feelings you may have, you know? Yeah. But you see, there's some other questions like, how does God react to sex? What does he think about sex? Honestly, even in scripture, he never actually blatantly said anything about sex. What we actually read, even in the Bible or in the scriptures, is the opinions. He gave it actually to a leader, pastors, apostles, to those who were in the Bible who were leaders in their ministry. He gave it to them to decide. He never really said, sex is this, you will never see it. Somebody may say Adam and Eve, not true. Adam and Eve, Eve was actually supposed to be a helper, like my friend, he assisted me. Adam liked her so much, she converted her to a wife, okay? That's their own being. So that wasn't even sex or a relationship. That was his desires. And that plays a part really in God and sex. Earlier this morning, we're going to do a recap because I feel like there's a lot of new faces and probably didn't hear the morning lesson. And we explained something that was really strong. We're talking about the life of a family and the house of Judah. And Judah is actually the family in which Jesus came from. But it's very messy.
Messy.
It's a little sketchy. If you watched it on Zoom or it's your first time, it's a little messy. One family, so many problems, so many controversial issues. And if that is not real life today, then I don't know what is. So even in the aspects of it, some people may say, okay, this is the first time these things are happening. No, they've been happening for decades, centuries, and so forth. Judah, just to give you a recap, Judah married a woman. She had 3 children. The 3 children she had, Onan, and Shelah. Yes.
Yes.
And in the 3 of those 3 children, she married the firstborn, She married Guess what happened to was wicked. We don't know what he did, but God killed him. Okay? Just like that. We don't know to this day. We don't know what he did, but God killed him. He didn't like something about him. Second one, Judah, the father now says, you know what? How about you just marry Tamar? Because Tamar is actually who Er's first wife is. I mean, of all things, God knew he had a wife, and he's like, look, forget that one. Kill this guy. Second one, second son. This guy was very funny.
Funny.
Too funny. And his name is Una, okay? Una, Judah was like, look, Una, marry your brother's wife. He's dead. Look, marry her, have a child with her, and put it in his name, like, in memorial of him. He said, okay, I'm going to do exactly not that, okay?
Wow.
I am going to have sex with this woman. I'm going to marry her, have sex with her, and then instead of, obviously, we all know how sex operates, you actually come inside the person. I'm here using slang terms. I feel like I'm in your class earlier. But he would not put his semen within her, and guess what? He pulled out. Pulled out mother, the first time ever heard, Genesis 38. And it was terrible. And it was terrible because if you think about it, today's terms, even in the forms of pornography, if you ever watch pornography, many a times, or even in real life, honestly, because you're probably thinking, okay, so after that, God goes and kills Una, but he didn't kill Una because he pulled out. No, he didn't kill him because of that. He killed him because his intentions were always bad. You see, if that was the case, you know how many people would have been killed already?
Right.
They pulled out.
Finished.
Finished. They came on the girl's face, on her breast, on the face.
Oh.
It's happened many a times. These are real stories, you know? It happens all the time. Nobody always just has sex with them and next thing you know, like they come inside the person. It's not all the time. So in the midst of this, you know how many men would have been killed? You know how many people would have had issues along this way?
It's true.
It would have been a massacre, even today. But that wasn't the case. God was angry at Una because he's a funny guy. He's somebody that's not straightforward. We talked about honesty in the beginning. We talked about not being deceptive. We're rounding the story off because it's long, okay? You can read it on yourself. It's trust me, Netflix has nothing on this. Genesis 38 is real. In the midst of it, after a while, he found himself in a situation. Judah is older. Judah went to a party, he had a lot of fun, good times. After the good times, he said, you know what? I've been a widow for so long. I'm hot. I'm horny. I want to have sex. So guess what? He decided to patronize a prostitute. He wanted to patronize a prostitute, but what he didn't know is that he was patronizing Tamar, his daughter-in-law, because she was so angry at the fact that he kept deceiving her.
Messy.
First time, he said, don't worry. Second time, he said, okay, look, 2 of my sons died. I have a third one, but he's too young right now. Let's wait until he grows up, okay? When he grows up, then you can have him, marry him off. But he grew up, and he actually never told her that he actually came of age. So he was just gonna keep her in the house and let her just, I don't want to say rot, but just stay there and never care a thing about her. Issues along the way. So you know what? She realized first time, I'm not gonna be a fool. Second time, I definitely won't be a fool. But this third time, I'm gonna get Judah. And Judah had something coming for him. Because guess what? She wrapped herself in harlot's clothing and she disguised herself as a prostitute so that she to entice him. She slept with him. He ends up getting her pregnant. and she had the evidence to show for
The
it.
receipts.
She had some strong receipts in the form of his clothing. But all in all, she ended up having twins, and he was just so surprised. Like, wow. He had to tell himself, even in the very subversive, man, that's true. I was kind of wrong to Tamar. Now he realized after she's having twins for you that you were wrong to her. He's like, yeah, I kind of did her dirty. But all in all, supposedly she got her revenge back. She got what she wanted back. You see, these are occurrences that we see frequently in life. But we're bringing up something that's very, very strong, because people are concerned about the actual act of sex. And that's why when we said God and sex, some people are like, please, let's not get into that. But let's tell you something. It's not the actual positions you're doing or whatever you're doing. It's actually your intentions, your motives, your purpose.
Right.
What's your purpose behind having sex? And have you always been clear about it? The first things first is you should always define your terms before you get into the act of sex. Because that's how muddled lines come in, that's how blurred lines come in, where you say, oh, you told me this, I didn't tell you that. Look at this. We're in a big, messy situation.
Yeah, it's true.
And honestly, if you didn't know this, you know, they tell you God cares for you, God loves you. True, God is concerned about people. He sees all of you, all of us really.
Right.
But he wasn't concerned about the fact that the sex that was occurring. He was concerned about the fact that this woman was getting swindled. She was in a path where she was getting scammed, cheated on. And she was just gonna sit in the house for years and just never know. Because she never knew the terms of agreement to the situation she found herself in. So that's why the first thing we told you all in the beginning class is what? First, define what is the purpose behind your sex, and one, define the terms.
Yes, sir.
Let's be open about it. That's why I told you all in the beginning, like, this is the best way. You already open.
Right.
You know what it is to actually date someone or be in a relationship with someone and never tell them the purpose of this relationship,
Wow.
where it's going? Have you ever met two people who are going on two different paths in a relationship? Oh, it's gonna fall. Not it's gonna fall, it's gonna crash and burn. Because we have two different purposes.
It's true.
Sure.
I expected that after having sex with you, that we were gonna be in a relationship. It's been 2 years now. We're still figuring it out.
2 years.
It happens all the time. These are variations of life. It's been a long time coming, you know? And you know what? You manage it, you manage it. One thing you need to learn in life, be careful what you're managing in life. Even in relationships, be careful what you're managing in your relationship. Be careful what you're managing in your sex life. When you build a relationship with someone, even if you say, oh, I think I can grow to like them, it's not true. You can't grow to like someone. You either like them or you're not. Right now, we just took out pieces of paper. Some people said that one page was too short. I have things to write. Because you already know what you like. You're not deceiving yourself. So another thing is that be careful about deceiving others. What's the deception behind this sex life? What's the deception behind our relationship right now? What's the purpose? For example, someone may marry, he did the same thing. One did the same thing. He got married to her. He then had sex with her. But he's like, look, I don't want to have a child with you. Because I don't want this to be in my own brother's name. He just didn't want his brother's name to be attached to the child. His motives weren't straight.
Right.
But Judah was running the show saying, look, marry her, have a child, put it in his name. Directing him, but he's like, look, I don't like that. That's not where I'm going. Everybody was having the discussion of Tamar except for Tamar.
It's true.
Have you ever seen a situation where everyone's in your relationship except for you?
Wow.
It happens all the time,
It's
continuously.
true.
What is the purpose behind your relationship? What's the purpose behind this partnership that we're in right now? What is the purpose? Let's not fool ourselves. Because I don't want to have this conversation coming years to come. No. Let's tackle it now, right?
Right.
I don't know about you. I want to bring it all out right now.
Put all
This
the
is
things-
me.
Yes.
So that you don't say, oh, you changed on me. That was always me. I just didn't want to uncover in the beginning. So more than ever, we're bringing this all to you because if you're not able to define the terms, out of the midst of it, there will be deception. Out of the midst of it, there will be heartbroken people. Heartbroken people. Many of us have been through heartbreak. All because of what? Not defining the terms. Not being able to be explicit about what you want out of this relationship. You see, where God is concerned, even in terms of your purpose in your sex life, your purpose in your relationship. Where is God concerned? You see, God sees it as two things. He sees it as serious and not serious. You see, right now, someone can easily go ahead and get married, right? They have a child, or they're looking to have children. Guess what? They're having sex, because that's how a child's gonna come, okay? We're not gonna package one for you and send it to you in the mail. You're gonna have sex, right? Okay? You're gonna have sex to produce this child. And those are some of the things that really occur. So the person like planning, or they're like, look, okay, this is where we're gonna have sex, because they wanna have a child. There's the end goal, purpose to it, okay? We see where we're going, you know?
Yeah.
All sex is pleasurable. I'm not gonna come here and tell you sex is not fun. Sex is great. It is pleasurable. It is fun. But outside of that scale, when we come out of it, what else is it? Purposeful. Because we all dwell on the pleasure of it, but what's the purpose behind it? We all have fun in it, but now you come out of it and you're like, wait, the aftermath. What happened? Who will I be now? It happens countless of times. You're never fooled by the pleasure of sex. No, you're fooled by the fact that you didn't know where we're going with this. And that's where God is in. He's in the purpose behind your sex life. What's the purpose of it? What are we doing? What are you doing? God was so concerned about a woman named Tamar. He was so angry, he killed 2 men. Two of them.
Wow.
Because of her. He was so angry at the way they tricked her, the way he scammed her, how she got the bottom end of the stick. Very angry. So now if somebody ever comes to you and says, look, God's concerned about the fact that you keep having sex. No, he's concerned about the purpose behind the sex. Not concerned about what you're doing. He's concerned about what's the reasoning. What are your motives? What are your intentions? Those are things you can't put on the top of your head. These are my motives for you. These are my intentions for you. I wish people would. But you can't blatantly see that on the top of someone's head. So that's how one can find themselves in long-lasting situationships.
It's true.
You never define the terms of it. You don't know where it was going. All on your head. I wish I could tell you, like, what are your motives for your relationship? What are your motives for me? Like, you're in a relationship with someone and you came, we don't even know where it's going. We don't know what the next step is. So you're playing it by ear. That hurts. That can hurt. You're playing it by ear for where it's gonna go. God and sex.
God and sex.
It sounds very intimate, it can be very personable, but I believe it can relate to you all. I don't know about you guys, but I know for sure it can relate to me.
Oh, it relates to me, honestly.
You see, then who defines the purpose? Who defines the purpose for the relationship? Who defines when it comes to the subject of sex? Even in this situation, God blamed 2 men. He blamed them because they deceived the girl. She didn't know. She just thought, whoop-de-doo, I'm gonna marry one beautiful guy, and they all died, okay? It was just, he blamed them. So someone may say, okay, so who defines the purpose? Okay, the man defines the purpose. Define the purpose for this relationship. Define where we're in. Some people may say, okay, well, I was the one, I'm a female, I was the one that asked him to have sex, no problem, okay? But can we define the terms? Can we come out open and define these terms? What are they? And more than ever, when do you think you should be defining the terms? Before the action.
Yes, it's true, yeah.
Sex muddles up your head. You won't even think straight.
It's true.
You might say something that you won't do. In the middle of sex, it will muddle your head. Define the terms before you get into the act.
Right.
It's as simple as that. But then again, you ask yourself, why are people not defining the terms before they enter into sex? Maybe they might not know. 2, they probably don't know where to put that person. Or 3, they may not even like the person. How come you're never even able to tell someone, look, honestly, this is a one-time thing. We're not doing this again. It seems so hard to say, right? The person said, I like you. I'm just trying to figure out myself. You're still figuring out yourself.
Okay.
It's the reality of life. It's been happening. It will continue to happen. But I don't know about you, but I think more than ever, it's good to have an intentional relationship.
Yeah.
Where you can see the intent, the motives, and you can be excited about that. You could be interested in that. That's important. Many of us rose up our hands and said, you know, we're single, we want to be in a relationship, we want to meet someone new. Based off the trajectory of life of how it's been going, let's not follow suit. Let's try a new route, you know? Let's start something fresh. Look, many a times, if one's intention is not straight, they can find themselves in a muddle of issues. Perfect example, we're gonna bring another family. These are all family affairs, okay? These are the family affairs. I'm telling you, I'm gonna make a movie out of it. The family affairs, this is it. Besides Judah's family, there was another family, and we're gonna bring a little insight into that family. Very funny. Well, actually, it's actually not funny. It's very concerning. It's very concerning to be in a relationship with someone who actually just wanted to marry your sister and not you.
Wow.
Real Rachel.
Can we talk about that? Very messy, right?
Talk about it.
Can we talk about that?
Wow.
You see, it was called Jacob. Nobody ever told me that the Bible could be so messy.
Messy.
Yes,
All
it could
the
be. People live like this, and they were living it.
Wow.
You see, Jacob, he wanted to marry Rachel.
It's true.
He didn't want Leah.
Mm-hmm.
But by the midst of the family that they came from, their father was like, "Look, we don't give the second daughter to anyone. You have to marry the first for you to have the second." And this man fought for years. He worked for years.
Yes.
He worked for years to get Rachel. He didn't like Leah, but he had to marry her. Those intentions are so bad. The motives, you know what it is to be in a relationship with someone who's managing you? They're not sure of you, but they just need you to be alongside. I just need you to be the placeholder so I can marry your sister.
I don't think so.
Somebody says, well, they don't do that nowadays, but people do it countlessly in various ways. It was a placeholder until I finally find the person that I really want to be with.
Side chick.
Or this is just for now, you know? I don't really think, I'm not sure I see you, but I believe over time we'll figure it out. If they know for sure, you might just find someone else and just leave them. Happens all the time.
It's true though.
Look, one thing about God, you can't mock him. And one thing for sure is that God could see the intentions, but he was angry at the fact that, look at the lives of these young women. Leah was beautiful. It wasn't like she wasn't beautiful, so don't think beauty is just the only thing. She was gorgeous, very stunning. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't want her. It's just simple as that. I don't want you. I want your younger sister. That's all. But I have to work for this one to get the other one. And funny enough, Leah was the one that had the children. She had 4 children from him. Rachel didn't have any. Be careful your intentions and your motives for people. Because she was in a marriage, obviously, by force. She was more like the addition to the relationship. But it didn't bring any real joy. That's why we explain something to you, even as we're talking about sex and God, and we're giving you an overview of what this means. We already said define the terms, but 2, stop managing people you don't want to be in a relationship with. Right now, you could be in a situationship, you don't know where it's going. You've been saying, okay, we're just gonna feel it out for a couple more months. I don't know if you have that much time left to worry about that. Define the terms, and if you feel like your partner's not being open about it, then you be open about it. I think in the first class we were telling them, look, just don't put my name in it. Don't want to say Pst.Favour told you. Look, Pst.Favour told me to tell you, I want to define these terms now, or we're not in it. No, I'm not going to say that part. But I want to bring this to your enlightenment. I want you guys to open your eyes to this. Even in relationships, what are your intentions for the person? What are the motives? What are the motives for this sex? What are the motives? Don't go and say, oh, well, you know what? I've been having sex with you because guess what? You're my girlfriend. Or you're my boyfriend. Those reasons why people are having sex only? No. Oh, I should be having sex with you because we're in a relationship. No, what is the purpose? What's the end goal? Where are we at? I don't know if you've ever asked anyone that you've been in a relationship with that. Or maybe you asked them a little too late. Those are some things that occur as well, okay? So first, define the terms. And never find yourself managing a relationship. You know you don't like that person.
Yeah.
Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. It may hurt, but it's better now than later on. You know. So don't go and get yourself in a situation because someone told you, oh, I think you guys would be great together. Get in a relationship. And who was that person in your life? Because for Judah, for this family, there was a hierarchy. There was Judah, the king macho of it all. And he was running the relationship lives of his sons. Some of them had their own motives, but he couldn't control that. He was the authority in their life. He was someone who brought it forth for them. Now look, this is best for you, this is not best for you. It's true. They say those are old in ages, but everybody has an authority still in life. There's still someone who guides you in some which or way in your decisions. Or maybe you don't. But then again, if you don't, should you really be having sex? Who can really guide you and tell you that, look, this path right here is the solid? Or are we just gonna live a life of trial and error for the rest of our lives? It's hard to pick it up with someone. You keep seeing yourself in reoccurring relationships, they're not working. Who's leading you? You know, obviously you learned a little bit about us, about Alpha and Omega TERNITY. You saw my name in it, you saw my face. Well, I look a little different, but that's me. We're telling you something. For my students, some of them you see here and some of them away, they come to me about real personal issues. I counsel people, I'm a pastor. I counsel people about your sex life, about your relationships, about what you're getting into. Do you really want to be in this relationship? How far is it gonna go? Let's tell ourselves the truth. Because sometimes you need to talk to someone who you find as a sound voice. Where you can say like, look, I know for sure you will give me the path, the right way, the path to go. I won't be living a life of trial and error. How does this look like? You know, recently, one of our leaders, our highly esteemed, awesome, said this in a lesson just very recently, almost on Friday, and it was strong. He said, the fact that you haven't introduced us to who you're dating goes to show you that you're a little ashamed of them. Because you're so open about everything about your life. Like right now, if we have a conversation about your school, about your friends or anything, you're talking. But then when it comes to your relationship, like, we've never seen them. It's been 6 months, we still haven't seen them. You may not say it, but you feel a way about that relationship. Because why wouldn't you introduce it to someone that you highly esteem or someone that is very important to you? Why wouldn't you bring that to the forefront? Like, look, I'm in a relationship right now, and I'm trying to know more about it. I'm trying to grow into this is who the person is. Can we even get a name? We don't even know their name. Authorities. This is even someone's parents, where someone could be dating someone for 5 years, 6 years. Their parents have never seen them, not one day. You're already blatantly saying something openly. I'm not sure about you, and I don't know how comfortable I feel introducing you to people that I appreciate and people that I value. Nobody wants to be in the shadows of their relationship. It's hard. God and sex. This is where God really dwells in. Your intents, this is where your soul operates, really, is your intents, your motives. The way you think about these situations. Because you've already been thinking. Don't say you haven't, you've been thinking about it. You thought about that relationship. You've been there already. So don't say, I never really thought about it. It's not true, you thought about it. You just didn't want to introduce us. Why? Purpose. What's the purpose behind it? Alongside there's another thing that really comes into play. Consent. Consenting to sex. Consenting to this relationship. What are the parties that are involved? And these two parties, is there an agreement between you two? Because that's where consent really comes into. Have you both agreed, or is it just you? A one-way relationship? Okay. We're gonna read a new verse. Don't say, Pastor, I'm not trying to scare you, okay? I'm not trying to scare you, but we're trying to give you some insight. Let's think about this. Because honestly, this is from me to you. I really believe that if people can actually settle these aspects, then you won't see a lot of heartbroken people.
Yeah,
That's just it. People are very much heartbroken. They may take it into another relationship, or they may just be single and say, you know, all men or all women are dead. Like, you know what I'm saying? People immediately cut people off in their head and say, forget it. I've had a terrible relationship. I had terrible experiences. And people have many experiences. So we're going to turn to a new verse and give you some insight into this. Just a little insight. Let's turn to 1 Corinthians 7. Yes, 1 Corinthians 7, verse 35, 36. All sex has a purpose, okay?
Yes.
All sex has a purpose. Whether you see it in your own life or you see it in pornography or so forth, all sex has a purpose. It's very popular. Very popular subject matter in pornography is revenge sex. You know, I'm gonna have sex with my best friend's brother. You know what I'm saying? Like revenge sex, like, you know, or it shows you it's like, oh, sleeping with my husband's best friend to get back at him. Revenge sex, you know? It had a purpose to obviously evoke emotion, okay?
Yeah.
It had a purpose.
Yeah.
So you may see it in pornography, you may see it in real life, you may see it in those you know who may be going through it, but it had a purpose. It already showed you their motive and their intent, and it wasn't even good. So I think we're here already, right? Verse 35 to 36. And it says, and this I say for your own profit, not that I may put a leash on you, but for what is proper, and that you may serve the Lord without distraction. But if any man thinks he's behaving improperly toward his virgin, it's basically towards a woman. It is not technically if she's a virgin or not. If she is past the flower of youth, basically, is she up to maturity? Is she 18 and above? You know, is she able to make a decision for herself? And thus it must be, let him do what he wishes. He does not sin, let them marry. Okay, so in the midst of it, they're talking about consent, okay? They're basically explaining this. In this youth of consent, make sure she's of age. Make sure she's mature. Make sure in this relationship, if for anything, your intent, your motives are already splayed out. He said, and if for anything, what's their purpose? He said, marry her. Go all the way. If you see this relationship going all the way, be like, look, I see that this is what I see for you. Nowadays, some people just don't say that. It's like, I feel like right now we're good. But have you ever been in a relationship with someone and they said, look, honestly, I like you. I want to get to know you. And really, this relationship, where I see it, I definitely am looking towards marriage. If you tell somebody that right now, they might scream, jump, and run out the door.
It's
They're like,
true.
look,
No, that's
It's
wrong.
true.
that's how you look. I'm not into that. But at least someone actually was open about what their intentions were.
Yeah.
Because it's, why would you want to hide that? We were having a conversation with one of our brothers, and I said, and he explained something that was really strong to us. And he said, look, honestly, maybe I shouldn't have told her the truth about what I believed in this relationship, what I wanted out of it. I said, it's stupid. She didn't want to be in it because she didn't have the same intent. Those are not her, that's not where she sees herself going. You may have two different paths, it's okay. You can't conform and manage someone and then find out long way down the road that more than ever you both were never on the path. All because you decided that more than ever, guess what we're gonna do? I'm gonna just follow you because I like you. You can like someone, but you may not be on the same path. So go ahead and say, like, you know what? I'm gonna disguise the reason why I wanna be in a relationship. I actually see myself going all the way with you. I really would love to marry you eventually over time. Like, you know, I wanna get to know you. He's like, no. Immediately the person says, don't call me back, you're on my block list. Yeah. But he was open.
Yeah.
How do you query or go against someone who's just being real? Now if they lied about it,
It'll be another story.
it'll be a whole other
Yeah,
story.
it is something.
And that's where, even to the point, sometimes you see certain things like, they call it trapping someone, where the person may, guess what? I don't know how in the midst of this somehow happens for you, when you're having sex with the person said, you know what, I'm so sorry, the condom slipped, and guess what? I came beside you, and guess what? I think you're pregnant.
Yeah.
Not a slipping.
No.
Not slow.
We're saying this because sometimes if a person wants to actually marry someone, guess what they do? They might trap them. They say women do it, sometimes men do it too.
Wow.
So the fact of the matter is that in those myths, in those conversations, you know, one thing we were able to realize is that people weren't being honest. What was your purpose at the end of the day? You wanted to be in a relationship with the person, you wanted to marry them, and they didn't have the same intentions. Doesn't mean you have to forcibly put yourself on someone. You don't have to get married to them. It's okay. Just be like, look, honestly, I don't see us going that route. When did honesty become scary? When did deception become okay? Where you can deceive the people around you and not be honest about them. You could say, to me, over time, with counseling a lot of different young people, older people, and relationships, I realized one thing. That years doesn't mean you've been actually honest to someone.
It's true though.
You could be in a marriage of 20 years and never been honest to that person.
Honestly.
You can be in a relationship of 5 months and you've been completely honest with the person.
Yeah, it's true.
Both parties though, consensual, are both parties on the same path. Because it's not just about you, there's someone else that's at stake, right?
Yeah.
Please, let's not be selfish. Let's not be selfish. We're going to read another Bible first, but we hope you all are getting it.
Yeah.
I'm understanding
Today.
that.
Okay? Let's turn our Bibles to Romans. We're going to read this a little bit. Well, actually, go back to 37. Did you go back to verse 37? What are your desires? What are your intentions? He says, nevertheless, he who stands steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, has power over his own will, and has so determined in his heart that he will keep his virgin does well. He says, he who stands steadfast in his heart, his will, his emotions. He says, more than ever, this one, even when you look at it, where he's explaining his desires. What are your desires? What are your intentions? Bring them up forward. Bring them to the forefront. Let's know them. So we're going to turn to Romans 14. Thank you all for reading that with us. Romans 14. Because sex has a purpose, guys. It does have a purpose, whether you know it or not. It does have a purpose. Romans 14, verse 22 to 23. Thank you. And we'll explain a little bit about allowance. Romans 14, verse 22 to 23. It says, do you have faith? The Greek word for faith is called pistis. It means persuasion. So it says, do you have persuasion? Have it to yourself before God. Happy is he who does not condemn himself in what he approves. It says, but he who doubts is condemned if he eats, because he does not eat from faith, for whatever is not from faith is sin. So he said, whatever you're not persuaded by, don't put yourself into. That's sometimes where consent comes into the fact. You can't persuade someone to do something they didn't want to do.
That's true.
You can't do something because you're pulling someone into, like, hey, just, let's have sex, let's You have to have persuasion for yourself. If you're not persuaded by it, don't find yourself in it. It's your willingness. Are you willing this? Are you willing to be a partner in this? Are you willing to be a participant in it? We're asking. Willingness. What is your persuasion at? You may be persuaded to be in a purposeful relationship with someone, and they may not have that same persuasion. Faith is not the same, actually. Faith is different to each person. I don't know what I may be persuaded by will definitely not be what you're persuaded by. It may all be different, right? But willingness, that's something that we need to really grow from. We need to really understand from the willingness you have. Where is your will involved? You see, there's something that we've learned over time. You see, your soul is something that is so impactful. Your soul has 3 faculties. It's your soul, it's your mind, your will, and your emotions. All of them compact. Your mind, your will, and your emotions. He's explaining something right here. Your will is involved. He says your soul is involved. That's where the intertwining is right now. Is that you're persuaded and the other person may not be. Where are we? Are we playing tug of war right now in this relationship? Are we on the same road? Where's the path for this relationship? So I know a lot of you, your mind is going like, look, I'm thinking, maybe even in your relationships, for some of you with those who which you're dating. I think someone asked the question, what is the first question you ask when you go on a date?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
People should really ask these questions. It may sound very scary. I don't want to scare the person away. Look, they were going to run either way. Today or more the 50th day. That's just the truth. So don't hide behind it. They were going to run somehow, some way. Sometimes you have to be a little upfront. I don't know when it was okay to just be like, to mask yourself in the midst of it and not be open about the things that you want. So when someone says, you know, I don't want to really scare, it's like, oh, I don't know. The person actually like, what are your intentions with me? Like, I'm just trying to fill you out.
Fill you
No,
out.
I don't want to fill you out. I want to be in a committed relationship. I want to be in a purposeful relationship. I want to eventually marry you. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Nothing. And it shouldn't scare you. And for you, it should not scare you to ask those people those questions. So you may be running around with the whole, what's your favorite color? You've been asking him for months and he still hasn't told you the right color. It's something to worry about. You're muddling your head on the wrong things.
Sure.
I'm asking, what's your favorite food? Let me tell you something. Whether you cook chicken or whether you cook steak, they all gonna taste the same one day. It's just the reality of it. So the fact of the matter is that these questions are, it's like a nice dance and tango. You're just taking around like the real question. Nobody ever asks like, okay, honestly, what do you like in sex? Like, how are we gonna survive this relationship? It may be like, okay, well, I'm just dating the person. But even in the midst of dating, why can't you be open about that? Ask those questions. You'll be surprised how happy some people may be. Like, thank you for asking me. Nobody's ever asked me what I like, what I don't like, if we could even survive this. You can save a lot of trial and error in life if you could just settle these matters.
So
Yeah,
true.
sure.
And that's where God is concerned about. He's concerned about people just masking in the background, playing the blame game eventually. Because guess what? Another thing is that when you're able to even bring up consent, when you're able to be on the same path as someone, guess what? You can't play the blame game on me. I told you from the beginning what this will always be. Where we're headed. Where are you headed in your relationship? Yeah, it's something to think about. Where are you headed? And is it where you always wanted to be? And what's the purpose behind it? God is asking, what's the purpose? What makes this relationship serious and unserious? The only difference between the relationship being serious or unserious is purpose. That's it. That's what he believes. And that's true. Pleasure is the middleman. You're gonna have pleasure if you're gonna have pleasure in every aspect of sex, really. If you're enjoying it with the person that you want to be with, you're gonna enjoy sex. Sex is fun, it's enjoyable. It's the middle factor. But outside of that, what is the purpose behind this relationship? Because for Tamar and many others, God wasn't concerned about what they were doing behind the scenes or behind the sheets. He was worried about the intent and the motives of these people. And that's what he's called me to actually tell you all today. For some of you, raise your hand if you want to be in a relationship. That's what I said. Have you ever been able to be honest with the people you're even dating in the past 3 months? They probably don't know half of this you just said today.
Wow.
Living behind closed doors, it sucks.
Oh.
It can really suck. Awesome. So more than ever, say your will is involved.
Your will is involved.
What are you allowing? What are you allowing? This nice long sheet, what are you allowing? What is permitted? Because if you're able to define what you have allowed in a relationship, guess what won't come in? Condemnation. You won't shame yourself for the things you've done. You won't shame yourself for your sex life or your relationship. I think Sister Casey said something really earlier, and she was like, look, you never know how God can be involved in your sex life, right?
True.
But another thing that's really important, even in that aspect of it, is that people find themselves shaming themselves or condemning themselves because their will was never involved. They never allowed it.
Wow.
That's why the first thing we told you is define the terms. It's as simple as that. Why don't we want to define the terms? Define what this is. Not in 3 weeks of just having sex. No, let's define it now.
Yeah.
It would be great to have a clear relationship where you know the path. You can tell people automatically, I know where this is
Nice.
going. Wouldn't that be great?
It'd be nice.
It'd be a whole lot better
Right.
than fixing, meddling it along the way.
Along the road.
Along the way. I just love to say, you know what? I don't know if you've ever seen this in people. I've seen this in person. Where someone could be in a relationship with someone and they're like, oh, who's this? And they look at each other like, they look at each other like,
That's fraud.
this is Jill. Okay? That's where we ended. This is Jill. Yeah. And you guys are all looking, laughing, like, but really in your head, you're like, what is this? What are we really doing? because I've taken you to a lot of places, and we're starting to be associated together right now. And I still don't know what we are.
Wow.
All these factors is why God is so concerned about it. He killed 2 men because of it.
It's true.
So you never had the right intention for these people. Not just for yourself, but other people that you're involved with.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm not giving you homework. Some of you might just run out after this and like, look, I need to text that person right now. What are your intentions for me? Where are we going?
Facts.
It's not bad. Do it. Do it. It can save you a lot of tears a year from now.
It's true though. I'm not wasting time.
Honestly,
No way.
but I like what she said. She said it very blatantly. I don't know about you guys. She's saying it very blatantly. She doesn't want to waste time. It started like this. You were just 20. Next thing you know, you're 32, and you're like, man, I've been through a couple of different relationships, and I'm still not sure. How about we try something different? And we lay out the terms for this relationship. Where we're going with this, everything about your being will align you because you've allowed something in. You allowed this to happen, and you're assured about it. It's a lot better than managing a relationship where you're just gonna laugh and say, we don't know where we are anyway. That's sad. And it may be fine for now, but even for you, you will look at yourself and be like, look, this is not how I expected it all to be. So let's work on that. Let's see another aspect. We're not gonna take too long today, but we wanted to give you guys this so that you know further on some things to address in your life. Let's not be bystanders to our own relationships. I don't know if that resonates with you, but as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, okay? Don't be a bystander to your own relationship. Because more than ever, we've been consumed with the minimal things. You're like, oh, God in my sex life. God's not worried about your sex life. He's not even worried. Let's tell you something. Masturbation is not even something that's blatantly spoken about in the Bible, because it's not something he ever brought into fruition or even cared about. It's you that's haunting it in your mind. It's you that's taking it to that next level. Don't be your own enemy. You're just worried about everything. No. He's not even concerned about that. He's worried about your intentions, and that's something that you should be concerned about. He's worried about your purpose. You see, purpose comes in when you get the opportunity for men and women to even come together. Purpose. There's a purpose behind this gathering. One thing you have to know is that every time you meet someone, it's not by chance. It's something you clearly need to put in your head, right? When you meet someone, it could be for your good or for your downfall.
That's true.
So we met each other for the first time. What is it going to be for? Well, I know it's going to be for your advancement. Trust me, I'm not for your bad, okay?
Right.
But we're telling you something. So every time you meet people, don't just think, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I met you. You should be thinking, wait, how do we cross paths? How are we now just meeting each other at this point in our lives? Those are some questions you need to ask yourself. It would save a lot of broken hearts. It's true. If you could know why this person entered into your life. Don't be that person 3 months in where you're like, man, you're on bed soaking. We have to literally put the lights up and tell you to take a shower because you're saying, man, I hate the day you were born. I hate the day I met you. On the 14th of July, 2020, I was so angry. I should have never went to Wegmans. Yeah. It's the reality. It happens. Where you now regret the day that you were actually meeting the person. You remember the day solid. It's just like that. It happens all the time. We're trying to save those moments, okay? So that you don't find yourself falling back into that situation. Okay? I really wish someone taught me this in college.
Facts.
Honestly.
Because I didn't have that same experience, okay? I really did not have those same experiences. So when you hear it, let's not just leave the message here, let's live it in our lives.
Yeah.
Because hopefully the next time we come to Vermont, I want to know you have great reports. Like, you're looking great. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, look, I settled that situation. I'm doing well. I don't want to see that I heard you're crying in another relationship. No. Or you're not sure about where you are. You're like, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're like, it's like you're playing patty cake, but you're like, no. I should have never gotten there. More than ever. And we're just gonna bring up a few points and we'll close out. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself today.
Yes, sir.
It was a delight to be in Vermont. And honestly, like, let's give a round of applause for Sister Casey. She's a phenomenal host, and honestly, she's a great leader in our ministry, and we really, 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 really appreciate her, because more than ever, there's no one who puts that little sass, that fastness, that speed, and that joy. Hey, let me tell you this, she texts me even sometimes at 2 a.m. and I'm like, wait, girl, I wake up early sometimes. I wake up early during the night, so I'm like, wait, what? You text me at 2 a.m. But then I text her back, because you know one thing for sure is that this one has purpose. Like, you know, you should always know that the day we met was a day for advancement.
Wow.
And because you met her and she brought you to this program, you heard this knowledge, guess what? You know, that's a friend to keep. Not the friend that sent you to Roberts and Roberts ruined your life for 2 years. That's the friend you need to check for and say, look, we need to stay away from you. No, hopefully none of your names are Robert, please. Please let your name not be Robert, but it's not you. But we're telling you something like about value, because all in all, one thing that we can tell you about Alpha&Omega, this organization, is that we really build and work upon social relationships.
Yeah.
How you build relationships with people, whether intimate or platonic, because life is just about relationships.
True.
Some people haven't mastered them, some people are experts at them. On both ways, on both sides, and not at all. And it shows in your life if you've been able to master the relationships in your life. If somebody say, wait, can you master a relationship? Yes. You can always, it's a growing process. You grow into, you do better. But the fact that you keep finding yourself in the same situation means you haven't mastered something about a relationship. And that's why we bring forth the word of the Lord. It can come differently. So someone's like, I've never read this verse in the Bible. I honestly haven't even opened the Bible. Well, guess what? You opened one today and you were surprised by what you heard. And hopefully it was for a good surprise. Exactly. Nice little tea on a nice Saturday evening. But that's what we do. We build people who are made to live exemplary lives, but also to have joyful relationships in their life. I don't like tears. I'm telling you. Unless you're tearing for joy, like you made it like you won $20 million, I'm for it. But I really don't like to see people crying about something that could have been repaired or something that could have been worked on. So this message today, I honestly didn't know I was going to bring it today. I really didn't, to this point. But I know for sure that it's at least for one of you here. You need to take it home and work on it.
Sure. Yeah.
Really live it in your life immediately. Work it out. It's not by mistake we met. Not in this season, okay? It could be an alert for one of you, like, look, that thing you've been asking, like, what are we gonna do next?
Anyway.
This is the key in. What are we gonna do next? Right here. These are the affairs of men. These are the affairs that we see every day in our lives right now, presently, people's relationships. We talked about even in the form of authority. And we did explain to you that really, honestly, people shouldn't have sex if they don't have the one who has been able to guide them, that form of authority. And it's true. For Judah, they had it. Judah was their form of authority. Did I say he was the greatest? No. But he was. In some which way, if you like to say it or not, you do have someone who's like ahead to you. And if you don't, then it might be a hard life along this road. That's how people find themselves in what? Trial and error. Say experience. Experience isn't always the best teacher. Can you tell you that? People love to tell you that experience is the best teacher. Experience isn't always the best teacher. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because what you may have been able to go through, I may not be able to get out. That's life.
Wow.
What you may have been able to overcome, I may not be able to overcome. And that's important. When we talked about seriousness and non-seriousness, or serious and unserious relationship, or serious and unserious sex, we said purpose was the center of it all. You know the reason why? Yes, pleasure is fun. But somehow, some way, in the midst of that pleasure, that sex that you're not really sure of, or that relationship you don't see any end to it, you don't know where it's going and so forth. What if that one night, it's not even one night, what if 6 months in, you do get pregnant?
Ooh,
That's true.
let's
That's
talk
true.
about it.
That's true.
People don't like to talk about that.
True.
What if you do get pregnant? Obviously, there are many options. It's true. We all know them. People get abortion. You get Plan B. There's many options. But let's say you did want to have the child eventually. Some people do. You might want to have the child, right?
Yeah.
But then guess what? That's the destiny. You brought life into this world. And now you have to take care of a whole nother being when you're still trying to figure out your own life.
Oh.
That being has a great destiny that God has for them. You have a destiny God already has for you. All of you. God already has a plan for you. He has a destiny He has inclined for each and every one of you. But now when you bring a whole new life, that means there's a whole new destiny that you're in charge of. Authority. A parent figure. And in this is what we're talking about. There's a possibility that that may come in. Nobody thinks about the fine lining, the possibilities that can happen. That's when you finally figure out, and we're going to be honest with you, when someone now finds themselves pregnant, that's when they figure out, hey, maybe I should have that conversation about what we are anyway.
Oh, wow.
This is when you decided to do it?
Wow.
Now? It happens all the time. Besides, just because it's extreme, this happens every day.
Every day.
Where you have to find yourself in conflicting conversations because of what? Hey! It's a positive pregnancy test. Now you have to figure out, wait, what are we anyway? What are we doing anyway? Who are we anyway? Are we staying in this relationship? Are we not? Are we having a shot? Are we not? Possibility comes in. That's why God's so concerned about purpose. You know the reason why? Because ultimately He knows there's a lot of people who are going to be born by the reason of possibility. It's so concerning. It is very concerning. You know, recently, by the Spirit of the Lord, God was telling us about it. And He was explaining the fact that more than ever, it matters the way you were born. It matters if you were born in a loving relationship or not. It always shows. It always shows by the way of your life, how your life is going to turn out. You can tell what's behind it. So having that possibility that you never addressed those heartfelt questions or those hard to do questions and found yourself in this relationship and now you're pregnant, you're wondering, wait, can we have that conversation now? One thing for sure that we're all going to leave you all with this today, even as we close out. One thing is for sure, say this, there's always room for that last conversation.
There's always room for that last conversation.
Don't rule it out. Don't rule out the last conversation. There's always room for it. So don't go and say, I've been in this relationship for a long time. It's kind of funny now telling them now, let's have this conversation. No, don't rule it out. You could be saving yourself from a lot of possibilities. Right?
Right.
And you can also have a very purposeful relationship. Awesome, guys. So this is what we have for you all today. At this moment, we're going to ask, does anybody have any questions? Anybody have any questions? You can feel free to ask any questions at this moment. And don't feel shy. I definitely don't bite. I'm very nice. Don't feel shy at all. Don't feel shy at all. Whatever question you have, by the Spirit of the Lord, we can answer them.
All right, so I have a question because, you know, you talked about, you know, you having your personal persuasion, knowing what you want in a relationship.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of us here are college students. We don't necessarily, we're still figuring ourselves out.
Yeah.
Knowing what we actually want. Like, there's a way that I can meet a girl tomorrow, and I may be like, oh, you know, there was something I never, you know, wanted in a woman, but because I saw her, she vibed with me a little bit different. I'm a little bit interested. So, how do you go about that?
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that question. Awesome. Now, obviously, we're all still growing. If you think that even when you pass college, you're still grown, you're not grown. Even at my age, even at people who I'm 29, first off, okay? Even at various ages, even when people are in their 30s and their 40s, even your parents, they're still growing. Everybody's still growing. We're all still learning about ourselves. That's why you can see someone be in a marriage and then they leave. They're like, oh, this is not what I wanted, because they probably didn't have that time to grow into it. But one thing we'll tell you is called sustained interest. That's something that a lot of people today don't have. They don't know how to sustain interest in a relationship. There's so many things to see. You're always gonna see, even to the point that when you see better, there'll always be another one. There'll always be another one. It'll be continuum for the rest of your life. That's just the truth. But can you sustain interest in what you liked about this person? Have you been able to capture what you like about that person and sustain interest? Because you can sustain interest in your books. That's the reason why you're a bio major for 3 years. You sustain interest in it, right? You didn't switch to philosophy. You didn't switch to English. You stayed in biology for 3 years. You have so much interest in that. But now you've been in a relationship with Marcus for 2 years, and now you see Anthony, and it's like, whoa.
Not Anthony.
It's like, whoa. It could be something better. Can we also tell you something? That phrase that it's always greener on the other side, it's not always greener on the other side, no matter what it looks like. What you liked about that person, sustain interest in that. And also, I hope you know that person's not gonna stay the same forever too. Everybody grows. A relationship will never just be rooted today, and this is how it's gonna be. How we were when we're 17 is how we're gonna be when we're 32. Not true. You expand, don't we?
Yeah.
We all expand.
Yeah. Sure.
We all grow. But can you sustain interest? Because there will always be many. But can you have an interest in this person and see all the way through? One thing I love about this ministry and something I'm learning about myself is that you need to learn how to see the end of a matter. Learn how to go all the way in a situation. Not halfway, all the way in a situation. Can you go all the way in your relationship? A lot of people cut off relationships so early. They don't want to go all the way. I'm not saying suffer in your relationship. But if it's a purposeful, fulfilling relationship, why can't we go all the way with it? You're so consumed with everything outside. Can you center in? Sustain the interest. So that's my answer to you. I hope I answered your question. Sustain the interest. It's not like things are not gonna come. It's not like new girls are not gonna come in your life. I'm not gonna lie to you. They're gonna be a whole lot better. But guess what?
Sorry.
How did you ever think about? Did you ever think about the fact that there were probably a whole lot of men she's seen?
Oh, let's talk about it.
If there was two, she picked you. We don't know what David looks like. She didn't tell you. Just because some people are quiet doesn't mean that they didn't have a second option. But they went with you because they have an interest in you. And they want to see the end of the matter. So don't only think that you're the only one seeing eyes. Everybody got eyes, front and back. Awesome, awesome. Does anyone else have another question? Awesome, come forward. Stop her.
So my question is, what advice would you give to someone who talks about their intentions with, a potential partner, but every, person that they talk to is not interested in the same thing that they are. So they kind of go through a cycle where they can't find a person that's for them, because they put their intentions out there, but it seems that nobody wants to match it. So,
Okay,
yeah.
like that question. Thank you, I really do. That was an awesome question. And it's true. Sometimes you meet people where you just want to be open, you want to be honest, and they automatically reject, right? Well, guess this, and we'll explain this this all stems from sex in college in the beginning. We did sex in college in New Jersey, and it all stemmed from a conversation we were having about sex at a table. In church, yeah, exactly. And it was very real. But there's something that I learned over time, is that what we're explaining about even an authority, having a leader, having a pastor, I'm gonna be quite frankly honest with you. With my students, we have conversations about sex. We have conversations about relationships. Why? Because maybe there's something you just can't see in your own personal life. Why do you keep attracting someone who doesn't have the same intentions for you? What is that path? What is that path of your intentions? And why do you keep meeting people who don't have the same path? It could be environment. The environment you're living in is probably not best suited for you. It could be two, because environment also deals with friends, company, the people you surround yourself with. Two, it could be that what you're able to see in others, maybe that person that you need to see is not really what you were expecting them to be, but they could be the perfect match for you. You will never know it really. Sometimes your eyes they're really skewed.
Exactly.
And you need someone to open up your eyes and say, look, how about you meet with someone here? This kind of program, it seems very casual, right? These are the kind of person we can meet someone. Because you've been trying so many ways. And let's be honest, The path hasn't been good. Let's tell ourselves the truth. Some of them have been a little sketchy. Because right now, we've all learned a knowledge. That's another thing. Knowledge. Whatever you hear that another person also hears and believes, it causes you to what? See the same course. It causes you to fall in line to the same course. You have things that align with each other. It doesn't mean everything is, but it means there's key points that can tell you that this person would think like me. So if I meet someone here, it's like, oh, well, obviously we heard the same message or whatever. I'm intentional about being in a relationship. Now, I can't say if you meet someone at Mackey's on the second block from here, I don't know what they're gonna be like. We don't know where they're coming from. So maybe one thing you need to learn is that outside of getting to know people, you need to change your environment. And you need to also have an authority, one who is able to lead you, one you can see results in. You can see that this one has been able to live a not only exemplary life, but they're seeing results in their life in the people that they're leading. Many a times, even my own spiritual leader, when I have conversations with them, he'll tell you, like, maybe we should, like, groom that relationship. Maybe we should cut off on that one. He'll tell me, like, little pieces. And I believe him. Why? Because I can see the results in his life. I can see the results and believe that more than ever, it can happen for me. And I know for sure he's able to see something that I can't see. So, the two things I will tell you is, one, environment, and two, you need a leader. Many of them here, they have pastor. They have a pastor. I'm their pastor. Thank you, Holy Spirit. I'm really glad, honestly. I was not expecting this in my life, trust me. But I'm grateful to be an asset to them so that they can have these conversations. Many times we've had many conversations about relationships. Should I be in a relationship with this person? Many of my students will say, should I be in a relationship with this person? I said, well, the way these two things are going, maybe not, because I know this person too, and that person is not going to be able to go all the way with you. You might not be able to, they may not be able to be honest to you, but they can be honest to me.
Ooh, see.
And that's just the reality of the story. It happens all the time. So that is what I would definitely tell you. 3 things. 1, environment. 2, the knowledge you hear. Is it aligned? And 3, do you have a spiritual leader? Do you have someone who can tell the truth? And who could be able to see what you can't see? You need that. You need that. We've seen in many lives where someone could be in a relationship with someone and one of our leaders could say, look, stay in that relationship. That's someone to marry. There's a future with that person. They can tell you all the way. Many of us know where we see people, it's like, oh, we were just dating when we were younger, but we weren't taking it seriously. But you've come a long way, and it's like, look, that person's a good person. That person is a person maybe you should go all the way with. You should marry them. You should see yourself in a longer term with. You probably never say, you're like, why? I didn't expect to be like this. I didn't see that we were going to be this way. You may not be able to see what another can see for you. So that's our answer for you. Hope you got your answer. Does anyone else have any questions? Trust me, I'm really just gonna answer the question. But if you have any questions, we would no other questions?
Or something that interested.
Or something that actually interested you within the meeting. What is something that you've heard for the first time, or something that you're definitely gonna use? We'll love to hear from you guys. Awesome, come forward.
I really found it interesting talking about purpose and like what am I doing like with my will, mind, and emotions and tying that all together and having that relationship with all 3 and having them as one will kind of make me feel as one. So that really like resonated with me.
Awesome.
So I'd like to thank you.
I think the Holy Spirit put you guys in. And honestly, thank you for even bringing that comment. And you can take a seat if you don't want to stand up. Awesome comment, and we're glad you really enjoyed it. I'm telling you, I really had no intention of teaching this today. I really didn't know what I was going to bring forth today. But more than ever, I know for sure this is something that's missing in relationships going all the way. A lot of relationships are not going all the way because they don't want to tackle these aspects. Purpose. It sounds very minuscule, but it's big. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, come forward.
Going off of what
Hannah. Yes, I remember. Going from what Hannah said, just like the importance of communication, because it really breaks down to communication, whether it's discussing your intentions, discussing your desires, your boundaries. It's like really having open communication, and like communication is not just one time, because the same way we change, the like standards to the relationship may need to change. How you need to be treated, how you feel complete needs to be changed, because you're changing as an individual. So having that constant communication is really important, and that's something I'm definitely gonna take away.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's true. If you're upfront about where you see yourself going and where you see this relationship going, then you wouldn't be tripping about what's next, or looking at each other playing patty cake. No, you can actually progress in your relationships, and that's what God is concerned about. You progressing in your relationships. It's all possible. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns before we close out, or any comments before we close out? Oh, come forward.
So, I just have one comment. I'm really excited about what I heard tonight.
Oh, awesome.
Really what got to me is just, the purpose behind, your sex life and, your relationship. Because I think it really reflects, the purpose in what you do in life. If I can kind of apply this to one aspect of my life, then I know how to do it in the school that I go to. I know how to do it in the course that I'm studying. I know how to do it in the friendships that I have. What is my purpose for my friendships? Do I have good intentions with the friendships that I have? Do I have good intentions, with the people that I meet? And I think, having that and just learning that, I can now apply it to, every aspect of my life, and I think it can really better me, honestly. So, yeah.
Awesome. And it's true. And it's true. Whatever you learn in one aspect, you can use it in any aspect of your life. Just the honesty of it all. Asking those hard questions and aligning yourself with those who want to go all the way with you. So one of the things we said here, stop managing relationships. Stop managing a relationship that's not going anywhere. Because I don't know, I've been tugging in I've been having upset stomach every time I see the person, or it's just it's like a tie in my stomach. Okay, outside of that, you already know yourself that this thing right here has an expiration date. Has a big time expiration date. Awesome. Okay. So after, if you guys, some people may not actually want to say it outside, on the platform, we can always talk after. And I want to thank you guys for being an awesome audience and for hearing the word of the Lord today. And surely we know for sure that your life will honestly never be the same. It's gonna get better and better onto best. That's just the truth of it all. Yeah. So that's the decree for all of you guys, is that God is gonna give you awesome relationships where you can see the end of it. Purposeful relationships where you will not be cut off in the midst of it. You won't be heartbroken, no more tears, no more wasteful situationships. No, now you can have a purposeful relationship and see the end of it. Awesome. God bless you guys.